Yes, well, I'm very pleased to be here to talk about the Merchant Marine, and nice to see that there's a good representation of old sailors in the crowd. I was surprised to see, pardon me, the number of cadets from the other military establishments, but that no representation from Kings Point, the Merchant Marine Federal Academy. So I would hope that in future years there might be some movement in that direction. I've spoken to the Alumni Association, our Alumni Association, but they seem to be at arm's length from the whole operation from what I've seen. It's very frustrating for me to see the situation at the Academy right now, and talking to some of the people at Kings Point waiting for developments. There is a movement, of course, among the authorities in Washington to reinforce the funding of the Merchant Marine Academy, but its condition at the moment is very weakened, I think, over the last few years. The physical state of the Academy is rather desperate. I was talking to one of the officers the other day who was telling me he's the last one in his division who is still drawing a salary, that many of his colleagues are without income at this point and presumably no longer active. What I see officially, from what I hear, is that there is movement in Washington to sort of give attention to the rebuilding of the U.S. merchant fleet. I don't see myself how that's going to be terribly effective in the short term, because my understanding is that we are now at the point where 0.2% of our international marine commerce is carried in American bottoms, whereas in Chinese bottoms, for example, over 50% of the world's trade is being carried. And although there's lip service from Washington coming out about the reestablishment of American merchant marine building and capacity, I will be very interested to see how this is accomplished by the present administration and carried on through future administrations, because it certainly is not going to be easily remedied in the short term. It's very interesting and very encouraging to see the activity, the investment by Korean shipbuilding and engineering firms in the U.S., and by the acquisition of the Philadelphia shipyard, the Philly shipyard, by a Korean firm, that something that never would have been allowed to happen a short time ago. I think that's certainly a step in the right direction, and it's opening us up to the permission, the acceptance of foreign expertise in shipbuilding and foreign financing in shipbuilding, both of which are essential, I think, to our future success as mariners in the U.S. Well, I would have thought it's not too difficult for American expertise and technique, but from what little I've heard, the lack of trained American shipwrights, people who are experienced in the handling of putting pieces of metal together to make ships, this is going to be one of our problems. And the more, certainly we need a lot of allowance, a lot of permission for foreign expertise to be brought in the short term if we're going to make any progress in this area quickly. I would applaud certainly the loosening up of our own restrictions on bringing in foreign expertise. I think at the moment, in general, our position vis-a-vis the importation of foreign expertise is not conducive to helping us build up very quickly in any area, but hopefully this will change, hopefully. Of course, I think part of the whole question is how essential will American bottoms be in providing the infrastructure for our own defense, our own military capability? Is the merchant marine going to be as necessary for American military support as it has been in the past? I personally can't see how it can avoid being very, very essential. I just hope that Washington is able to change quickly enough to allow the expertise, the personnel, and the financing that's going to be required to build up the American merchant marine again. Absolutely essential. Although I suppose, my dad during the Second World War went to Sheepshead Bay at the very beginning of the war and did his 12-week course to become an ordinary seaman. So very quickly we trained a lot of basic military, basic marine expertise. It depends upon the demand that's put upon the American merchant marine and how much time we're going to have to build up in that area. One never knows. Yes, I guess in a way it's always a difficult thing for American workers to go into a service which requires absence from home. It's not the ordinary sort of industrial procedure that we're used to in other areas, but it's always had an appeal, and certainly in the past we've been able to solve the problem. In the absence of any immediate threat, I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to do it.